Happy Tuesday and welcome to a special edition of the Wolff Den. Today we are learning LinkedIn and helping those who are open to work. I'm Matt Wolff, founder of Ticket Time Machine. We have a special guest, Marc Goldberg, with us today. We'll give him a minute to introduce himself, and then we're going to bring on some candidates and get everyone, see if we can't get them back to work. Welcome, Marc. You joined us about a year or two ago on something like this, and it's good to have you back. Tell everyone who you are.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me. Yes, I joined a couple months, I guess 2 years ago, 2020, I feel like it even could have been, but everything's a blur. I run a consultancy called Stages Collective. I do a lot of things for a lot of people is what my LinkedIn tagline says, because I do. I have a couple different lines of businesses, and one of them is recruitment. So I do a lot of contingent recruitment. I'm also and I post, I'm pointing to my screen, not that you guys can see it, but I post to LinkedIn every day, try to help out and really help a lot of job seekers see the roles that are out there. And for job posters, I help them out as well. I like to pay it forward is what I like to say. I created Pay It Forward years and years and years ago in my Outlook inbox because I knew people were looking and I knew the recruiters looking. So I tried to connect them, and now I'm doing some recruitment.
Every day posting jobs multiple times a day. Anyone that I see who's looking for work, I say connect with Marc, follow the posts that they're there. It might not even be a job that you're looking for, but it could be a company that you never heard of, or maybe there's job titles that you see that could be relevant to you, and maybe it's worded different. There's no real playbook on how to find a job. There's a lot of good advice, and I guess last time we didn't do this, but legally speaking, Marc and I are just here giving us our personal advice. It has nothing to do with Ticket Time Machine or the Wolff Den. We're just trying to help as many people as we can. So take that with a grain of salt. But Marc is posting every day. He's getting information. I've been doing this a long time with trying to help people find work and having conversations with those who are looking for work. And we're going to scroll some advice down at the bottom. If you have any advice for people who are job seeking, please put it in the comments. If you have any questions, please put it in, and we'll try and help as much as we can. And that's it. It's all about you never know who's going to see what.
What I like to say is advice. A lot of people have it. You're going to read a lot of different stories. You're going to see a lot of things on LinkedIn. That advice is very generalized. Make sure when you're listening to the advice, you take it and really make it apply to you, because some stuff doesn't apply to different people, right? I mean, some salespeople need to act differently than a product manager would in an interview, or how they follow up. So there's just nuances around all the general information you hear. Make sure you apply it to you.
Great. We're going to bring on our first guest, Matt Taylor. Welcome to Open to Work. Tell everybody who you are, where you're at, and we'll start with what type of job you're looking for.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Marc, for taking the time today. I really appreciate it. I'm located in the suburbs of Los Angeles. I've been here since 2016. My professional career has been involved in sports. For 22 years, I worked in the NFL in the equipment department of the St. Louis and Los Angeles Rams, starting all the way out from summer intern all the way up to assistant equipment manager. When my time there ended, I moved on into the sports sponsorship space with a startup company. Within that organization, I wore a lot of different hats. I did some product development. I developed a catalog for this company. I developed the CRM for the catalog. I also made commercials advertising new products for this company. Did business development in sales. Through 2 months on a new project, I was able to obtain 9 figures in new business proposals for the company, the best in the organization, and also created a multi-level proposal pitch for a prospective investor in the company. Left that organization and have just been looking for my next opportunity ever since. If I had to, quote, put a title or scope of what I was looking at for, what everybody would probably say, I would say it was probably business development. years in the equipment department, you are tasked with finding new ways to improve your athletes' performance and safety. So you're constantly looking for new ways and products to keep them safe or increase their performance. And some guys are easier sells than others. Some guys, when the new helmet rule came on in 2015, 2016, it was a real uphill battle getting a lot of veterans to switch. Some were easy, some were not. So you do kind of have to have that sales or business mentality of convincing someone to use a product that they may not want to do. And there's a lot of crossover in a lot of other departments, but looking for something in that space. The past few months, I've just been out on the path, just trying to see what's out there, looking, listening, and learning to everybody in the sports space. For so long, my scope was so narrow that just being a connoisseur of sports and sports business, I'm just looking to see what's out there and looking and listening and learning. And if it's something that I can help with, I would absolutely want to have a conversation with somebody. If I know somebody who they need to talk to, I absolutely share contacts and introduce people. Much like what Matt said, it's just about connecting people, and that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, we're gonna. There's some advice just over the years that I've gotten and people have given on job search and how you can help people who are looking. Matt Taylor, if you're not connected with him or don't know who he is on LinkedIn, does about as good a job as anyone in engaging with content and also posting his own content. And the reason you do that is because, one, it helps people understand who you are and maybe what you know. But you just never know who's going to see something. With the algorithm, someone clicks it, it could go to someone else who clicks it and goes to someone else. I always say it's about who knows you, not necessarily who you know. Who you know is important as well. But so we have advice here. Post content, engage with people on LinkedIn, and that'll get more people knowing that you're looking for work. I do put target so it's easier to help you. I think helping people understand what your ideal job would be, your dream job, your dream organization. So if we said, if you narrowed it down to a couple of dream jobs, descriptions, and organizations or industries, obviously sports and business development, that's really broad. It's harder for someone
100%.
to help you out. So if we asked you to narrow it down, give us a dream job for you.
Honestly, it was funny enough that it got posted on Teamworks today that the Los Angeles Lakers are looking for a head equipment manager. That was funny, but already reached out and applied there. But really, with what I see probably myself doing is not says a startup, but a younger company that's trying to get over or is growing in sports, but maybe is overwhelmed. They don't know who they need to talk to or how they need to talk to sports professionals, but they have a great infrastructure, a great product. They're just overwhelmed and they don't know how to operate in the sports world. That's where I see somebody like myself being able to contribute, knowing how to engage with, all people in the sports way of life, from the business side to the C-suite to the athletes and the coaches. Just knowing how to have those conversations, knowing when to have those conversations, and knowing how they operate so to best align your offense to set you up for success. Right now I find that there's a lot of growth in a lot of different sports industries, but they just don't know how to have the conversations or who to have the conversations with. And I think that's a skill set that I can bring to the table. In addition to just the willingness to do whatever it takes, that kind of team first mentality of what do we need to get done? All right, let's roll up our sleeves. How are we going to get it done? Let's go do it.
Mark, I want to get your thoughts.
Yeah, so you're in LA, so you have limited options. I mean, you have very big options as cities go. But is everything have to be local for you, or is there remote opportunities at different league levels?
Oh, there's remote opportunities. This by no stretch of the means does it have to be, only in LA. Remote opportunities are as well. So it's not just I have to be local in an office somewhere. Absolutely could be remote in any type of a sports industry. Quite
Because
frankly, yeah, that would be
that's
something I
your
would
best
prefer,
way to
honestly.
navigate. Yeah, that's going to be your best way to navigate across teams, because you have the really, that only pool, but now you can get into other markets. And so, from a big market LA, you have a lot more influence on a smaller market, and let's just say Cincinnati, or even
Yeah.
Green Bay.
I mean, yeah, quite frankly, that was one of the things why I enjoyed when I was at this startup is I was talking with 5 different teams a day. In the morning I had my East Coast, then I might have some Midwest, then bounce to the West. I'm just talking with 5 different teams in a day, and it was enjoyable.
One of the reasons why we do this program too is because we want other people to know that you're not alone. People who are looking for work, they're going through the same stuff. You've been at it a while. You're posting, obviously from the public view, you've kept your spirits high and all of that. What's something that you can share to other people who are looking for a job that maybe that they're not doing? And sometimes it's something that's so obvious as like go through your phone book to see who might be able to help you. But give other job seekers some advice.
It's you have the cliche things as far as it's a marathon, not a sprint, but don't measure yourself against everybody else. That's the one of the bigger one that and it's easier said than done, because you see so many other people, they're talking about, oh, I only was out of work for a month or 6 weeks, and then there's somebody else that's 6 months, and when yours have been going on multiple years, you question yourself, you wonder, is something wrong? Everybody's journey is different, and you have to accept that and sometimes remind yourself of that constantly, so you don't compare, because when you start comparing yourself and your journey to other people, because it's different industries, different roles, different timings, there's so many different variables, so there's no 2 situations are exactly alike. When you compare yourself to somebody else, it's easy to go down that slippery slope. But then you've also got to have the mentality of, I think of it like the bench player, or, me in college, I was always called on to pinch hit a lot. So you have to stay ready. And I know that's easier said than done. And there are some days that it's tougher than others, but you have to be in the right mindset. You have to be ready. So you never know when your opportunity, or that call, that outreach, that person is going to come in contact with you. So you have to be ready. You have to be in that right mindset. You have to be the right demeanor. So when that person reaches out for you, you're ready.
So
You just don't want to be in a bad space or be negative to off-put somebody that may be able to help you.
well, you definitely can't be negative when they're calling
Yeah.
you or you're calling them. But what I've been saying a lot is mental health is a very big part of this right now. And when people click hitting the apply button and not hear and get rejected, it hurts. And so what I've been advising people is don't apply to everything you see, because it will hurt. If that's going to be your downward spiral, try to prevent that by not clicking on every button. Not saying you shouldn't try. What I've been trying to advocate for is leverage your network. Ask people who you've worked with. Ask people, what's going on in the market. Like get insights from different angles, because some of the best jobs are not posted, especially yet, because right now there's a lot of shakeup. But you're going to have to, for everybody, the mental health thing, you're going to have to get ahead of that and say, okay, if I'm getting a reply and I don't hear, I'm not going to feel bad.
Yeah.
You gotta get the mentality in there.
Yeah, Matt, we're gonna move on to Larry in a minute. Any parting words for the people who are looking to hire and looking for work that you want to share?
Just somebody that's resilient, and then is always going to find a way, somehow, some way, to produce results. It's just what I've done wherever I've been. You know, sometimes with no formal training, just find a way, always found a way to get it done. Always finds a way to get it done.
Great. They can find you on LinkedIn, right? All the information there. Check out his
Yep.
profile. I know Matt personally, so I can sit here and say you'd be getting a great addition to your team.
Thank you for the time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt. Real quick before we bring Larry on, Mark, you're posting jobs every day, multiple times a day. If someone is looking to hire and wants to get you to post their jobs, what do they do?
So I just post those jobs for free. Like I just see what I see and I post. I have contingent recruitment services. So if they need help in roles, they should reach out to me. Happy to help them and have a conversation. What you see is not paid for. I just literally, I will take a screenshot of my, of whatever I'm looking at. Oh, that's an open role. I'll just do that tomorrow. And I aggregate and curate myself. So that's just because you're in my network. I want to help you as a job poster, and as job seekers, they just get an opportunity to see a lot more opportunities.
Perfect. So reach out to Mark if you have an open role, and he can add it to his postings, which is every day, multiple times a day.
There's Larry.
Happy to have Larry Hovell on the program.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes. And can everybody hear me? Okay.
Hear you just great. Tell everybody who you are, where you're at, and what you're looking for.
Fantastic. First and foremost, I want to thank you, Matt, for fitting me in today. I know this was super last minute, and I appreciate you making the adjustment on my behalf. With that being said, really appreciate being in the audience, being able to have an opportunity to network in front of both of you. And I especially appreciate the opportunity of setting this up for people that are looking for that next opportunity that can possibly come their way. With that being said, I am a product manager by trade. I currently just came out of incubator program trying to develop an app to where we are invested in terms of trying to make a shopping social media like experience, trying to combine the two by highlighting the aspect of the different amounts of fraud that a potential shopper will run into, and being able to mitigate that with trusted vendors. So that way shoppers are having a trusted, verified experience and being able to communicate with one another as they're doing so. Prior to that, did product manager work with OfferUp, worked with them in terms of developing their auto space, in terms of trying to get the listings up, and specifically integrating what we like to call concierge chat onto the platform. So having an API set up with Active Engage and being able to bring that over to develop that experience. Apologies, there's a New York. But no, we were able to bring that on, and to great delight to not only our regular day-to-day users, but as well as the auto dealers that we hosted on the platform. Beyond that, also just developing the UI UX of the space, continually keeping that updated, dealing with different bugs that came along, working with multifaceted teams, and then prior to that, working with Letgo and actually developing the APIs that took the dealer inventory over to the platform. And then from there, actually being able to seamlessly connect that. And then as well as like pictures, their inventory, and any updates they happen to have, like as far as like information or pricing, all that information was able to then be brought over as well.
So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Project management it's again kind of broad. We always want to encourage people to target and maybe narrow in. What's your specialty within the target, within project management, and give us an idea of what an ideal industry or organization would be for you.
Sure. Ideal organization industry for me would be, be like probably like a startup space, potentially like a retail space, something that's directly dealing, with customers, being able to, kind of generate whatever their user experience is going to be like, being able to, take on different technologies, different APIs, different integrations, and being able to manage the team to, get them, across, whatever timeline that we're happening to be working on.
And what's been helpful for you or useful advice in your job search that others might be able to leverage?
Sure. I think the biggest thing is you had mentioned that actually beforehand is not applying to everything. Being somewhat picky in terms of your choices has been really helpful. not just from a standpoint of, mental health, but also in terms of like trying to be genuine in terms of like, do I actually just want to work here? You want to get to a point where, you're not only interviewing, you're getting interviewed for jobs, but you're also interviewing them, because you're going to be devoting so much of yourself to this opportunity. You do at some level want to make sure it's a fit versus just saying like, oh, it's a product, it's a product thing or it's a title thing and I'm able to connect it to. Beyond that, trying to be humble, trying to reach out to, different people and let them know what's going on and, see if you can't get in contact with their relative base.
What would you say to those that are interviewing and hiring to help them understand the frustrations that job seekers like you are going through that could be helpful to anyone who's listening who's on the other side?
I think the biggest thing is just like if there's anybody that's doing any looking, and I know like you're inundated with a lot of applications and a lot of different people are looking for opportunities. I guess at a certain level, maybe if you're able to at least get like an interview in, or maybe like 2 interviews in to get some type of feedback in terms of like why they decided to go a different direction versus like, oh, we had a lot of super talented candidates, but like let me know, like, is it something like an experience fit, or is it just like, oh, there's a person that specifically aligned with what we're looking for? At least on our end, would help us, be able to understand better, to grow, maybe something personally that we need to work on. Maybe it's the delivery. Maybe we weren't clear enough in terms of our description of the set story. So being able to get that insight, I think would be super helpful.
So I just want to go back to something Matt said. Product management, you can be at an insurance company and you can be at an ad tech company. And so it will start to really be on your side to figure out where you want to go. And I think something you said is very important is you want to know what the culture is and you want to go to the right environment. Think about, as what I like to tell the candidates is if you do the homework, the tests are easy. In other words, go look at what they do, go look at what they want and try to figure out what the JD is saying. And are you answering those questions? Because if the JD is asking for X, Y, and Z and you only do G, then that might be a disconnect here. But if it says X, Y, and Z, make sure that you're articulating and have a succinct story that you can do everything that they've just told you that you need to do. And so, the culture component is the interaction you're going to start to have with the individuals at the company. That first line of defense, sometimes the talent acquisition, you're not going to have that much interaction with them, but they're going to be nice and hopefully they're nice. But you start to get to the next level. That's where you want to develop a relationship. And hopefully you can have that one-on-one relationship with everyone you meet, because that's what you want in the culture.
Yeah. And I think, I always say targeting, it's not only to help you in what you're searching, but to help me try and help you. When someone says, I'm looking for sales, I'm looking for project management, if you look at what Mark posts, there's 15 jobs that are all different, but they could all fall under that category. So I think you want to target with what you're telling people so they can have a better idea. Otherwise, I'm just saying, go look where Mark is, or do a search for a business development. You're going to get a lot of stuff, or project management. You're going to get a lot of stuff there, and it's just easier for people to help you. And that would be my biggest advice as people are going through their job search.
Well, I guess further articulate or get more specific is the ability to be able to continue to work in tech, startups, things, app development companies, or companies that are specifically developing technologies, let's say SaaS based, where they have like, subscription based, that's way that they're able to generate revenue, understanding what that looks like in terms of being able to keep that type of service, up and running, and understanding what the marketplace is looking for. That would be something. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Are you a developer? Do you have coding skills? What are the skills that you say are your core competencies that help, and why they would hire you?
Sure. Not only do I have a certification in product management, but I also have a certification in UI UX. I've actually personally been on teams that have developed specific features on apps that we use on a day-to-day basis, where we've had to then track numbers. I've had to develop storyboards, story points, had the consistent meetings, like daily scrum meetings, going over the different projects, making sure that we have a particular timeline assessed, making sure that we stay under budget, understanding what the resources are necessary in order to have a set budget, keeping my stakeholders, consistently involved with what's going on a day-to-day basis. And, and actually just seeing a project from, inception to fruition all the way through. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You've done PRDs? You know what PRD is? Product requirements? No. Okay, so that's a big one for PMs. So just make sure you should really research a lot of the category of what PMs expect you to do, and make sure you're again hitting those notes. What Matt just asked you to say, hey, what are you looking for? You did a really good job of being succinct in that I want to be in ad tech, I want to do the apps, I want to do, like, you were very clear in that. So make sure when you're saying that part of the narrative to your network, saying, hey, here's what I'm looking for. When you come back and you start talking to the job posters and people, make sure you know all the terminology and all the things that they need to hear.
Gotcha. Yeah. I'm sure it's just a matter of like a, wording, so to speak, in terms of like, a difference of, how people communicate, so to speak. But, it is a very fair point, and I do appreciate that.
Yeah. What do you want people to know? We're going to bring Nicole on in a minute. I know you have somewhere to be. That's why we got you on earlier. What do you want the people to know who would be looking to hire you? The stuff that maybe you can't say in an interview, just because they're not necessarily going to ask you, but we're asking you, the people who are going to be hiring you. What do you want them to know about you?
If there's any one thing that I would say in terms of knowing, who I am and what it is I'm about, is that I will do what it takes in order to get something done. As I'm sitting here today, right now, like I have a work appointment that I have to get to right after this. I'm in a coffee shop in the middle of New York. It is in completely open space, and I'm dedicating the time to be here. And that's what I would do for anybody that would then give me the opportunity to be able to not only work with them, be able to work with the team, because that would be the type of dedication I would give to each member on my team. And at the end of the day, we don't accomplish any of the tasks we set out to do without being in the same frame of mind. And I think I particularly excel in that aspect of making sure that everybody's on the same page so that we're all able to hit the goal in the expected time span, if not earlier.
Perfect. I found you on LinkedIn, so anyone can connect with you on LinkedIn and get some more information about what you're looking for, if they want to help, or if they hear of any roles that are available.
Fantastic. I really appreciate it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to drop my my homepage or my LinkedIn page in the chat. And so, if anybody would like to connect, definitely very much open to connecting with the individuals that can be in the room here today.
Perfect. Good luck. Let us know how we can help. And we're going to bring on our anything else to share, Mark, before we bring Nicole on?
No, that was great. I mean, it's started to kind of be a little bit more repetitive in my mind, in that I just keep on saying the same things, but everyone is a little different. And so hopefully we're going to start to see, all the pieces start to come together for everybody.
Yeah. Okay. We now welcome Nicole Lesson to the show. Nicole is a friend of mine and is now looking for work, but we'll talk a little bit about what you're looking for. So tell everyone.
Hi, good afternoon, Matt. Thank you for doing this. Hi, Mark, and everybody else who's watching. Greetings from New Jersey, but I don't live here. I'm a South Florida girl. I am a senior level communications professional. Been for over 2 decades. I came from journalism. I was a reporter for many years, so I know media very well. And I switched over, went to the dark side, as people say. I was, for the last 5 years, doing some part-time jobs. I was a full-time caregiver for my mom, but now I'm getting back into the full-time job force. So looking for that next opportunity, and I'm excited. I'm ready to turn it up a notch for a company. I want to be an in-house person for doing that. I always say status quo is not okay for me. I like to go in, and I always ask either a client or a company, what's your wish list? What kind of media coverage do you want? Let's get that going. For one of my last jobs, Diabetes Foundation, we were promoting an event in New York City, and I said, how come we can't light up the Empire State Building in the color of diabetes? And they looked at me like I was crazy. I said, why not? So we did it, and they've been carrying on that tradition now since I left several years ago. So that's what I like to do. I come up with ideas. I try not to take no for an answer. I also, do a great job of negotiating. I motivate staff very well. I work with all different types of personalities, and I'm just excited to see, where this leads me because, I'm ready to rock it, as I would say.
Talking about in-house, do you have an idea of what type of organization or company or industry? Obviously, everyone we talk to is going to be entertaining ideas all
Right.
over the place. But if we're drilling down a little bit more, what is it that you think would be the best fit for you?
Yeah. I've asked myself this question. I've worked for government, I've worked for nonprofits, I've worked for for-profits, companies. I guess for me, it would be more of a product or a mission that I can believe in. I like to come to work every day and know that I'm making a difference, but also, making people's lives improving somehow. So I don't know quite yet what I want to do with that, but again, that's why I'm just starting my search now. So I'm trying to figure out where that goes.
So you're just starting your search out now, and previously was the caregiver or part-time?
Say that again.
Previously,
it's an interesting. This is a great conversation for this because Nicole was a caregiver for a long time. Has been that, and me and Nicole had this conversation. I said, "Hey, throw that on your LinkedIn." The gap these days. First of all, no one cares. No one should care about the gap. It's none of anyone's business really if you don't want it. If it's nothing that you don't want to share, but that's not. From my point of view, if that's a problem for an organization, it's probably not it's a bad start. That would be mine.
So it's a very important point, and I want to make sure I'm very clear. So gaps in resumes and short stints are almost always frowned upon when people look through resumes. And I had a friend who looked at 400 resumes, and I said, how long did it take? He's like, I found 4 people. I was like, no, how long did it take? About 15, 20 minutes. And that's how much time everyone gets. So if it's not clear on your resume, they're going to just put in that pile. And so, if your company was downsized, put in parentheses, industry downsize, or, sold, if you had took a career break, make sure that that's noted because people are going to look at it a little bit like, where has she been? What is she doing? Now she wants to get back into the job market. And, it's been very difficult for marketing and communications executives because those are usually the first budgets to go. And so now you're competing against people who have really, just left their marketing job, and that might be an advantage to them against you. So you're going to have to explain that a little differently. You did part-time work before, highlight that work and make sure that work, but you also have probably a fairly good network that would remember you. So reach out to them would be my first recommendation is, hey, who needs part-time work? Who has open work? That could be a good strategy to get in some different doors quickly, because as companies start to staff up for the back half of the year, they may need to know where you are.
And during my time, I was a caregiver. I did do part-time work. During that time, I took on projects and did events and things. So I did do work. It just wasn't full-time.
But you got to note that. And I don't know your relationship with the companies if you want to put that in LinkedIn, but you may want to just say, government account, that account. Start to list all the things that you've done and some of the accomplishments, because it might go unnoticed if they don't see that.
Right. And it's funny because I'm always the first one to help others, but for me to ask for help from other people, it's a little hard. I mean, I've written cover letters for people, helped them with their resumes, gotten them in the door of companies they want, but for me to do it myself, it's a little.
Well, it's slowing down right at the bottom. The two most important things you could do in a job search is ask for the job you want and ask for the help that you need.
Right.
We all need help to get where we're going to go, and most of the time, I don't know what the statistics are, but someone's going to help you get that job.
It really is ask for it, but also don't be obnoxious and say, go to the same person at 55. Hey, can you introduce me to this person now? You find 15 minutes on a Friday and talk to people and see where they are, and learn about what's going on in the market, and explain that you're interested in getting back in the game. Do they know anyone who could use your, skill set?
Right.
That goes a long way, because they're going to point you in a direction, because they may know something, because they're getting recruited for something that they don't want. So maybe they give you the opportunity. Maybe there are companies about to hire and they could pull you in, or maybe they just give you an aha moment. Like, oh, why am I wasting time over here? I should go over there.
Right.
You talked a little bit about communication and PR. Drill down a little bit into the skills that you excel in and that you've accumulated over the years with the work you've done.
Well, I feel like I'm queen of the pitch. I'm very good at pitching to media since I was on their side. I know how to speak their language. I do great with script writing for videos. I love shooting videos and coming up with creative, promotions packages for any kind of media outlets, social media, coming up with some great campaigns for that. And again, I'm a great negotiator with contractors and projects. I save money when we're, doing projects to, and get the exposure that they want. So, I'm just ready. I'm eager to, start my next chapter here.
Don't underestimate that. I was out of work many years ago. I was out of work for a long time, and the power of someone who's hungry to get back to work and prove themselves, to me, it can be sometimes just as much as powerful as someone who's been, working along the way and they lost. I mean, I think people are quick to dismiss certain people on paper, and you just never really know who you're going to get. You can interview someone 7 times; it doesn't matter.
Right.
Until they're there working, it's still just a crapshoot in my eyes. So now you got to find a way to try and convince them that you're the right person for the job.
Have them help you navigate to the right person who's doing the hiring, because that person, when you click on apply, and all of a sudden they're gonna be like, yeah, I don't get her resume, I'm not going to talk to her. But if someone helps you in,
exactly,
and tell you know what, I know Nicole, she's great. Like, that's so helpful.
I have one question. How is AI affecting the hiring right now?
TBD. I actually, AI has been Google Bard, ChatGPT, whatever you want to use. You can do a lot of things with it. I don't know if people have figured out what to do with it in relation to reading resumes. I know LinkedIn's starting to use some AI. Gmail's now starting to use some AI. So writing has become a little bit easier for some people who, like me, can't write a sentence. But I don't know the real impact yet, and I think we're still all learning at this point.
Yeah. One thing I have encouraged Nicole to do, and I encourage everyone to do, is let people know that you're looking for work. Not everyone knows. Put a post out there. Hey, I'm looking for work. Here's what I'm looking for. And people will share it. They'll like it. They'll comment it. They might know someone. Obviously the people you're close to know you're looking, but you never know who is going to be in your network or who's in the network of someone who's in your network when you click it. So, I don't want to say post a woe is me, but look, post, get raw with people and tell them where you're at. And
I'm back in the game.
Right.
You're back in the game.
Yeah. Yep.
We're going to bring our next guest on.
All right.
Nicole,
Thank you.
Mark has something, but anything else?
On LinkedIn, there's I think a slide button where it can tell recruiters that you're open to talk. So there might be you can do that as well.
Oh yeah,
Awesome.
there's a button that says you're open. Yeah, always better to just weed out than to not let people in, right? Widen your net and then weed out from there. It only takes one. But anything you want people to know who might be watching and looking to help.
I'm eager to get started. I'm open to any conversation with companies, and I just really, if they want somebody in there that can motivate other staff and kind of put a wish list on together for what kind of media coverage they want to get, or what exposure they want to get, and on social media or whatever, I'm just ready to make that come to fruition. Like, let's make our dreams come true and turn it up. So
Perfect. Well, anyone who's looking, I know Nicole very well and can tell you that you'd be getting a great addition to your organization. So if you're looking for PR communications, reach out to Nicole, or if anyone hears of any of those jobs, send them over to her. Click like, click share on any jobs that you see, including ones from Mark, who graciously adds jobs, very high level jobs too, I might add. These are very good jobs that just come across, and all you need to do is just click a button and your whole network has the opportunity to see it. Appreciate your time, Nicole. Thanks
Thank you,
for joining
guys.
us. Enjoy your
Good luck to everyone.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
All right. We are going to bring on Paul next. Paul, welcome. Paul Demick. I know Paul personally. We worked together at LexisNexis in the sales department, but tell everyone else a little bit more about who you are and what you might be looking for.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. It was great running into you a few weeks ago, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Mark, also. I have been recently with LexisNexis as an account manager, which is also an inside sales position. So I had the opportunity to grow a book of business. Usually it's about 400 or so accounts, and they were mostly in banking and finance. So I have a lot of experience dealing with those types of professionals at a C-level where I can communicate, find solutions to their problems. Usually we were working on things related to their workflows and e-commerce, so we could help them, with fraud or with identity management and things that those professionals are looking at. Compliance also is a big buzzword in that category. I also have experience in outside sales, and I've had some diverse types of experience. I was actually in a roofing company.
We lost him.
Did we lose Paul? He might have frozen. Let me remove him and see if we can get him back.
Welcome to live.
That's what we do on the Wolf Den. Never a dull moment. Paul, if you can get back, we're going to continue. Otherwise, we'll bump you and we'll bring you back on in a minute. All right. We're going to bring Paul back. Give him a chance to talk. Now we'll bring on our next candidate. And I didn't talk to anyone before, someone I don't know, so I'll let you pronounce your name so I don't kill it.
Hello, Matt and Mark. Thank you so much for having me and for putting this together for us all. So my name is Aline Aslanian. I tell people think of Celine Dion and then drop the S sound and say Aline, if that's helpful. So I am based in the Los Angeles suburbs area. I think Matt and I might be neighbors or something. I know he said he was in that general area as well. I am an editor, a writer, a content strategist, and I have strengths in team and editorial leadership, project management, and fostering talent. My background work includes working in the tech industry in a health tech company, and then nonprofit management as well. I have overseen and developed content for webinars, websites, videos, print publications, e-newsletters, email marketing communications, and an app as of my most recent employer. And then in terms of the kind of content that I specialize in, I've really worked heavily in health and wellness and scientific content. So I'm really well-versed in taking complex information and really drilling down, really just making it crystal clear and understandable for the average person. So I take out medicalese and scientificese and make it just easy to understand and enjoyable to read as well. I've also done a lot of patient and consumer education and communications, thought leadership content and content marketing, and that one was specifically in the nonprofit space. I was recently laid off, unfortunately, from a health tech SaaS company. They offered a health engagement platform for women and for families. My role there was a senior editor, and I really enjoyed what I did. Prior to that, I served as director of programs and editor-in-chief at a national nonprofit organization. It was a health patient advocacy organization. So again, it was very much focused on providing education, providing advocacy, providing support for people going through. This one was for a chronic illness.
Okay.
Currently, I am looking for roles like senior editor, managing editor, content strategist, editorial manager, and the like. So I'm really wanting to remain in the content and editorial space. I've really enjoyed doing that.
One of our guests, Matt Taylor, who I mentioned, he was on the first guest to speak, posts almost every day content that is, it's just more about his experiences. It feels like the writing that you do and the type of information that that you work with would be ripe for that, to put just information out there, just to educate people, but also to highlight what you're doing. We're a new connection, so you may already be doing that, but that seems like would be some low-hanging fruit for you to do.
Absolutely. Thank you. That actually is next on my list to begin posting. I've been, a long time member and kind of browsing and commenting on LinkedIn, but I've not really contributed much in terms of posting. So I have on my notes here to develop a content strategy plan for my LinkedIn. So
I mean, your content strategy is reading the news about anything health related and having commentary on it, or try to bring that out to the front and maybe tag companies that are involved, because if they see that you know what you're talking about, maybe they give you a ring. So it almost becomes a proactive opportunity for you to reach out and tag Amgen, Pfizer, whatever you want, because they have new news and you're paying attention to the news, and it shows you can write, because once they see your profile, they'll know you're in the pharma space and medical space.
that's such a fantastic tip. Thank you.
I think that's one of the reasons why I want to do this type of episode, is to bring on people like you and everyone else that we talked. You can tell that they know what they're doing and what they're talking about, and that makes you want to find out more. And so with content, people are reading to say, you know what, that's pretty interesting. I want to see what else they're doing. Maybe that gets you a follow. Maybe that gets you a connection. I'll channel my Gary V, which I think most of the time he's full of it, but just get it out there. I wouldn't even worry. We have no idea what content is good or bad, or what someone's going to like, or who's going to like what. Trying to figure that out would be, I think, a real waste of time. I'm not saying throw anything out there, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Figure out what you want to talk about and just put it out there.
Senior editor, content strategist. When I saw it, I was like, oh, it's just going to be so broad. But you actually have a very good pharma experience, and pharma is so challenging to find good people. So in the health editor space and in the health world, you have a very good story. You just need to make sure that your story is seen and heard. So, I would, recommend like tagging different articles, but also tagging those publications, because could you be a reporter? Could you be one of the writers for some of these news organizations or these, B2B industry pharma companies? So I think you just need to make sure that you bring up the pharma experience so that they see, because content strategist is very general, and you will find yourself competing with a lot more people.
I'm finding that, yes, I'm finding roles that have 600, 700 applications within 2 days. And I'm like, what am I even doing?
I just say, I wouldn't tell you not to do that. You just, I would put your name, put your hat in the ring for that. But you want to try and find them right when they go, and jobs, and try and find it through other people, connections, or, being proactive, I think certainly would be helpful. I have a twin brother who's in pharma who I can connect you with. And I have another good friend in pharma who does, PR type communication stuff in pharma. So some people that we can connect you with. What advice do you have for other people who are in the same boat as you? What have you found that to be helpful, or what have you found that you've struggled with that, sharing might help other people as well, so they know that they're not alone?
Yeah, thank you. I've taken a lot from what others have shared, so I appreciate that. As for me, in the beginning of my job search, I was kind of just, this looks like it's a possible fit. Let me see if I can rework a little bit to make my resume a better fit, and I would apply. And of course, crickets, because the market is, what it is, and people are. There's just a lot of competition out there for the roles that I'm going for. So to your point, I really realized that, okay, I need to really just niche down and find what it is that is very, very special and unique about me, and work in that space. That certainly limits the amount of roles that I can apply for, which is not great, but at the same time, quality over quantity. So I've learned to really, really read things very carefully and only apply, because when I apply, it takes a lot for me. I spend a good amount of time. I'm a writer and editor, so whatever I send in has to be just great writing. So for me to prepare an application takes a considerable chunk of time. So I am being really selective in what I think is a good fit for me and what I think they're looking for, if I'm a good fit for that as well. So I would say quality over quantity. At least that's been my approach.
Aside from writing, obviously that's the core competency for what you're doing. Skill. What else are people getting when they bring you on?
Yeah, I've done a lot of team leadership. I've done management, project management, editorial leadership. And so I come from a nonprofit background, and when you're a nonprofit, you do a little bit of many different things, and you do focus on one core area. But I've gotten exposure to, different kinds of projects, different kinds of industries as well. So that I think is a benefit and a strength of mine. I work fantastic with people, with colleagues, cross-functional colleagues. I've led and managed cross-functional projects. So I know I'm really good at keeping track of multiple moving parts, and I'm really good, I think, at making sure that everybody has a voice, everybody can play a part. Because it really is my belief that when different perspectives, different voices contribute, first of all, it's more fun that way. And secondly, the end product is just that much better because you've had so many different people, contributing and giving their voice.
Yeah. You're a good example. We were not connected when I posted this. Do you remember how you found and saw it?
I do. Somebody liked something that you'd posted and you came up on my feed. I was like, oh, who is he? He looks cool. Let me check him out. So, yeah.
You remember who that was?
I don't.
That's the beauty of immeasurable data and the power of a like. You just never know.
Yeah.
It could be someone who's I'm not even connected with. They liked something that someone else did. So you just never know who's going to be seeing what you're doing. That's the number one reason you should just always click send or click like and get the stuff out there and let everyone figure out if it's for them or if it's not. Really appreciate you coming on, and we'll connect you with some people. It sounds like you got a good beat on what you're looking for with some excellent experience. That's always a good combination, and a little bit of help never hurt anybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on and for organizing for us. I really appreciate it.
Perfect.
It was great to meet and chat.
And we're going to recap all of the guests and tag them and give a better idea for what they're looking for those who aren't joined here or don't have time to watch through everything. We want to make it easy for people to know what the candidates are looking for. We're going to bring Paul back. I think we got internet, had some internet issues, but now we're back.
There. Sorry, guys.
No, you're good.
Oh, you said
out there. I had to go and remedy that. But so what I was saying, I had experience with inside sales at LexisNexis and some other opportunities as well that I had prior in my career. Lexis was about 10 years, give or take, actually 10 years, 10 months. And then I also have had outside sales experience. So I enjoy trying to help customers solve problems. I like the consultative approach. I'm not an overly aggressive salesperson. I'm more of a listener and a communicator. And I think I kind of I kind of walk softly and carry a big stick type of thing. I try to solve a problem in a creative way and a resourceful way. At the same time, I think I'm a very shrewd negotiator and a very good, I'm going to help the team win. I'm going to help the team get the best deal, but I'm also going to look out for the customer as well. And not, I think I want to bring integrity to a situation and help find a solution, but also, help our team kind of achieve our goals and help our team win.
You prefer inside to outside? I know we work together on the inside.
I did inside for so long, kind of part of me wants to be outside and kind of beating the street a little bit. I've had some interviews and one recently with a medium-sized company in Fort Lauderdale, actually in Boca. They have some other offices, but where it's an outside position, where it would be from Key West to Jupiter, basically, with a company vehicle out, kind of meeting up with customers. It's a business to business type of a situation. So I'm comfortable with that. I think I understand what business owners are doing and what they want, from the years of experience with, we dealt with a lot of financial type people that, were not, unsophisticated people. They were, they were savvy. We had to bring value. You remember Lexus, we had to show value, and I think that's something I want to bring, and I want to be in a situation where I have value to bring. I don't want to, a lot of what you guys have been talking about has been very good. Even what Matt said, with a lot of the, there's a lot of chaff out there. There's a lot of jobs, and a lot of it's just crap. A lot of it's like a waste of time. And at the same time, I don't want to miss opportunities. So it's kind of a balancing act, trying to find companies that have value to offer customers versus, hey, we're just here to, sell a lot of garbage, and we want you to do that. And, we want you to, really beat it down and get that sale. And really, there's nothing you're bringing to the table, So that's why I'm looking for something that, I can bring value, bring integrity, but also, hey, at the same time, I'm here to win it for the team. I'm here to, be a shrewd negotiator and kind of get the most.
Yeah, not a call center type environment,
Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff around,
Yeah, especially in South Florida, I have a lot of that experience. For me personally, I'm someone who enjoys or focuses on a soft sell. That's what we had at Lexus, and what I mean by that is you're calling on people who are needing the service that you're calling on. Is that something that you want to stick with?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I mean, it's more of a consultative approach where, there's a good book I just read. I think it's called Spin Selling. And the premise of the book, it's a little different than the Challenger method. Remember the Challenger method at LexisNexis, which is basically you got to talk them into this is what they really need. Spin selling is a little different. It's more of, hey, discovering, kind of what they need, and then bringing value in that regard. I kind of find that resonates a little bit, like the idea that, if I want to make the match, just like I do with a job, I want to make a match where it's a good fit for both parties. I think that's a good way to approach things. I'm not going to try to beat somebody over the head to buy something. I want to be more consultative. I have insight into what you're doing. I have understanding, and I want to kind of help you. I want to help, in a consultative way. I want to make your life easier, make you more money, whatever that is.
A good base of sales. You are obviously 10 years of inside experience with Lexus. The pandemic hits and people go work at home. It's kind of like, what's the difference if I work from home or there?
Yeah,
do it. So it's almost like, especially inside sales, remote job can, there shouldn't be any limitations to who you can work with. Find a local company would be better for you, or you're targeting more of that, or are you going more national?
Across both are options. There are a lot of great local companies, actually large companies in Boca, but at the same time, there's a lot of remote opportunities. So I'm open to either. Like I said, being out, knocking on doors and proverbial knocking on doors is not the worst thing either. So I would help, businesses develop, if it be a local connection, great.
So sales is a relationship business. You've built 10 years at a company. You know a lot of the buyers. You know who your customers are. You shift to another industry. All of a sudden, you have a different set of people. I'm assuming is you're going to now have to figure out who am I selling to. If you're going into different industries or going into different categories or different products, you have actually an advantage as a salesperson that who am I going to be selling to? Let me call them to see if this product's worth anything. Because now you have the ability to proactively go to some of your clients like, hey, I'm talking to this company. What do you think of them? Would you buy this? And use that as an opportunity to get that warm lead, but also understand what you're going to be getting yourself into, because a lot of salespeople don't always remember that they're getting sold to, because they're getting hired by a sales manager. And the sales manager is telling you you're going to make $1 bajillion on commission when it's your territory's, this big. So, you always have to be, the advice I give to sales managers and salespeople are, you're talking to salespeople. So your job is to listen. You do great, right? You're a good listener. You need to start asking questions during the process and managing that kind of sales manager sales relationship, and understand what's going to be expected of you.
Yeah, and having the discernment, like you're saying, Mark, to understand what you're getting into, and if it's going to be a situation where, it's really a product or service or knowledge that the industry needs or wants.
Yeah. I mean, everything sounds great until you go to talk to a customer and it's like, oh, you use those 6 people instead of me. Got it. So you have to learn, it's not just an inside outside sales role. It is a sales role at a specific company. And that's what you're going to need to do.
Yeah, speaking of learning, tell us something that you learned about sales in your 10 years at Lexus, and then maybe something you learned about yourself with regard to being in sales at Lexus.
Wow. Good. I mentioned challenger sale. I mean, I think the consultative kind of approach, and I've kind of always had that to some degree, I think, because I really, want to listen and understand. I'm kind of a learner by nature. I'm really, if you ever want to talk about obscure stuff and across the board, I mean, I go to trivia nights and win trivia night. I'm kind of I like to learn. So
big music guy too.
What's that?
I said a big music guy too, can jam.
And music too. I play guitar and sing and that kind of thing. Well, don't hold that against me, but I think what I've learned is that, listening and being patient, and it's kind of a balancing act between being patient and being assertive and aggressive at the same time, kind of being hungry, but also being patient. That's kind of a balance, it's kind of a both, everything's a paradox, everything is kind of, there's two things at the same time. And I think that's how sales can be. I think it can be, you can be really hungry for it and aggressive, but you can also be patient with the customer. You can be patient with the situation. Sometimes it'll take a week, sometimes it'll take 3 months, whatever it is. So I think to have the discernment to know when to really push and when to, kind of move it along in a different way.
Yeah, we had such a big team and just a diverse team. One of the reasons I didn't get into sales for so long is I thought you had to be phony and pushy, and you can be very successful being phony and pushy in sales, but you don't have to be. So, there's all different types. Find out who you are as a salesperson, and being genuine, to me, I think is key in everything that we do. But being genuine as a salesperson, I think will help get you more successful, and knowing the type of salesperson that you are and what your role is and what your strengths are and what they're not is key. Lexus is a big organization. Do you prefer big corporates? Are you looking for something that's smaller, less established?
Maybe a little smaller, maybe a little more nimble, in the sense of, things that we did there were a little more cookie cutter and kind of coming down from the top.
Right.
And I like to be involved, and I like to be a part of the solution, as opposed to kind of being told, from, not that that's
the ability to make decisions and to be able to do stuff.
I'm good at thinking on my feet and making decisions and understanding. And, I'm humble enough to say, hey, I don't understand this, or, what do you think, at the same time, where if I have a strong opinion, I'm not shy, but I'm also, hey, I don't understand this, or I could know this better. You know this better than I do. What do you think? That kind of thing. So sometimes those big organizations, they're great in a lot of ways. There's so many good things about them, but they do kind of, they do have a more of a cookie cutter approach in some
Yeah, I
ways.
agree. You don't want it to be where they could almost just throw someone else in, and
Yeah, it's just, you have to do this, and this, and that's it. Just keep doing that.
What we're going to bring Beverly on. Give us some last thoughts on what you'd like to tell anyone who's looking to hire and why they should hire you.
Yeah, well, I shared a lot. I'm hungry, and at the same time, I have a lot of experience, and I'm great working with different types of people, trying to read situations, understand what I'm into. I think I have the IQ to be able to, the business IQ to be able to understand and kind of find a solution. And I'm kind of an optimist in that sense, where I think there's always a way to figure things out. There's always a way to solve the problem. And I'm ready to rock. So I'm a team player. I'm not looking to, push anybody out. I'm looking to make everybody better. Hopefully,
you never know when you're gonna when you're gonna run into someone. Ran into Paul randomly at the Dave Matthews Show and told him about this. I didn't know he wasn't with Lexus because that part of my world is smaller on LinkedIn. So keep putting yourself out there, putting content. Again, it's about clicking like, clicking share, commenting, engaging, and you just never know who's going to see it, who could be the one to help you out.
Yeah, this has been great. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Appreciate you're going to get a great salesperson in Paul. So check him out on LinkedIn if you're looking for sales, or if you hear any sales that sort of makes you think of what Paul talked about today. Forward stuff to him. That's all. I'm forwarding stuff to people all the time, and we want to find out a better idea of what everyone wants to look, so we know not to just send everything that has to do with sales. There's a lot of sales jobs out there, so try and target and get a better understanding of what your friends who are looking want, and that'll be helpful for them. So great to chat, and we hope that you find something soon, like everyone else.
Great. Thanks again.
All right. I think we have our last guest here. But let's welcome Beverly. I'm not going to try and pronounce your last name.
That's okay.
Ellen, but tell us
the story of my life, right? So my name is Beverly Okema. Think Oak Tree, Beverly Okema. Thank you so much for hosting this event. It's been so helpful. I'm taking notes as I'm listening to everybody else's input and your suggestions. So thank you for this. So I just relocated to the Atlanta area in Georgia from South Florida. I'm originally from New York. What up? I am the founder and owner of College Plan for You, where I help students navigate the college prep and application landscape. You can imagine that that's been kind of tricky, in considering the recent scandals, that thankfully have quieted down. But being able to do this with integrity, helping students and families, to be able to go into this with less stress, less worry, knowing that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. That's kind of the help that I bring. I spent 19 years working at a private college prep college in South Florida, helping students in this area. And the last couple of years, they're geared more towards the event planning part of it. So all of the college admissions reps that travel in the fall to visit all the high schools, I set up all of those appointments, and then marketed that out to the students for them to be able to register and engage. We would set up regional college tours throughout the year, as well as our annual college fair, big expo style. We've got 100+ colleges coming out on the one day for families to come out and take advantage. I will confess that I am, new to LinkedIn. I've been on LinkedIn for a while, but I've been in the same job for 19 years. So LinkedIn was just kind of a parking place for me. I'm just now, really getting into utilizing it for networking and reaching out to people for endorsements and recommendations and those kinds of things. And I'm just seeing so much more has come out of it than just endorsements and recommendations. So I feel like I'm in a learning curve space where LinkedIn is concerned. So
I want to hold on. I want to give a good point here, because
yeah.
when I was on LinkedIn prior, I didn't use it. We encouraged, they encouraged us to post, and I did. And once I started my company, I switched it over. One of the things that I learned is, for some reason, LinkedIn wants you to have 500 connections. That's where they stop counting publicly. And for whatever reason, if you don't have that, people might think you're less active on here. So
Okay.
I would encourage you to get to 500 connections,
Okay.
strategically.
Uh-huh.
But you can basically start inviting people, especially if you're looking for work and connections, and until they tell you you've done it too much for the week. I don't know what the number is, but it's happened to me before. Not while I was looking for work, just while I was trying to prospect.
Okay.
Be careful. If you're doing it on the app, there's a little hamburger, little 3 dots. You can click and it says personalize invite. Always personalize the invite.
Yes.
That's a very important thing. I mean, I'm still trying to understand your story. So let me just go back. You've done 19 years at school in Florida, and now you have your own business?
Correct. So I am starting a private consulting business and helping students, pretty much doing what I was doing at the high school level.
And so
Are you also looking for work full time, or are they?
It's so funny. The struggle that I have right now is kind of straddling that fence.
Okay.
So I've already had my first 10 clients. Very excited about that. A little bit of experience under my belt on the private consulting side. But there is that, trying to balance, like, you still need a roof over your head and you still got to pay bills, and financial situations change. And so I'm open to whether or not it has to be a part-time or a full-time that allows me to still support the private business. I am open to any of those options, but the ultimate goal is that this consulting business is my bread and butter.
So you need part-time work, because everyone's going to look at you and say, you have a full-time business. You're not going to do any job for me. Why do I want you? And so
Okay.
if you're trying to apply for a full-time role, that's going to be the first question is this going away, or are you? And if the answer is no, then I don't know how many more interviews you'll have with that company, because they will expect you to be a full-time employee. So if you can find some part-time expertise, then, and maybe it's just reaching out to your network and figuring out, hey, I have my own consultancy, but I can do some part-time work on the side for you guys, or whatever you need that might be the strategy for you, because it's going to be very difficult for you to start an own business and be very, very, focused on LinkedIn with hey, I have my own business. Hey, I'm looking for a job. That's the
issue.
That.
One of the real reasons why I said I have to go all in is because I need to start posting. And once I start posting, then people
Right.
you want people to see what you're doing.
Right.
So there's a way for you to do it and still have, college plan for you out there.
Okay.
But you got to be careful with what people see when they see your profile, to try and understand, what type of person I'm going to be getting and what they're actually looking for.
Okay.
And to everyone, since you haven't been on LinkedIn, you won't get this joke, but my inbox is full of people who want to be my friend to sell me a franchise. Like,
I have seen a few of those come through.
It's unbelievable.
Or to sign you up for whatever their business or service is.
Yeah, I get so much spam. It's ridiculous, and you don't want to come across that way, because your college plan for you looks like, oh my God, in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, she's about to pitch me. Like, it's going to happen.
Right.
So you also have to be very careful how you're inviting people.
Okay.
So you're in.
I also look. I think we're on LinkedIn to connect. I think it's okay to ask for things. It should be less of a pitch. It should be more like, hey, there's a real reason why we should talk.
100%.
Not just, because if you're targeting who your connections are, then if you're doing it correctly and strategically, I don't want to say correctly, strategically, there's reason for you to have a conversation with them, but also want to be clear about, hey, I'm looking to grow college plan for you, or I'm looking for work. And you could do both.
Right.
and be done. No
The
one says
intent has to come through in the invite, though. The intent has to
it
come
has.
through
It should be, and
because
it
you
should be in your headline too. I mean, you want your headline what people see when you're engaging on stuff. That's one thing we didn't talk about that people can do. Your headline is like there's a certain amount of characters that show up when you post, and you want it to be something that people can read real quick and say, I got an idea of what they want or why I should talk to them. So it could be looking for my next job. There's a lot of different ways you can calculate how many characters it is, but that's your headline. That's a grabber, attention grabber, and you should try and do that.
Okay. Thank you. That's helpful. All righty. Got my notes.
But
Um,
working in college for so long, and let's just put College Plan for You aside. If anyone wants to get more information on College Plan for You, definitely reach out to Beverly.
mhm.
But what is it that your skill set and the type of drive? If it was a dream job to say, I want to jump, and this is what I want to do. What's the
Right.
skill set? What would be a great title or description for you?
Wow. Okay. So, I definitely have, the college landscape knowledge built up, which is great. Um, Definitely good with articulation, communication, being able to devise a cohesive progression plan for students. You start here, you progress to here, you finish here. I am strong in organization, in event planning and project management. Um, I also was the person responsible. It usually got delegated to me to be the person responsible for training, for onboarding new employees, for orientations, things like that. Good at devising process and methodology. So we have this, form that needs to be done or this activity that needs to happen. What's the best way to go about it? What's the best progress from A to Z on how this needs to be deployed? And then, of course, putting that out to the people. Also, informally, good with graphic design and communication. So I also was the person responsible for all of the flyers and announcements and invitations and so forth that went out for any of our events, whether virtual or in person. Um, I leadership skills, managed a staff of 13. I did the recruiting, the training, and the ongoing management. Also did volunteer recruiting, training, and management as well.
do you go to a lot of events?
Not since I've relocated, but previously in Florida, yes.
Okay. Try to get to events. Events will help you in your world. I'm just about to show you. I make the LinkedIn signal sign, the code. When I go to events, I have a different screensaver than my dog because the dog's the only one. Dog's the only one that loves me more, but that's a whole nother story.
Okay.
I switch in between that because when you're at an event, you want to connect with people. Business cards aren't a thing, but you still want to connect, and sitting there typing someone's email might not always work. So,
Right.
I would advise you. It sounds like going to events could be good for both College Plan for You and you.
Right. Okay. I like that.
Yeah, I think even job fairs, one, because you could find out what's out there for you, but also, talk to people who are looking.
Okay. That sounds good. Okay.
Cool.
All right. Thank you. That's really helpful. Thanks so much.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap this up here because our last guest, Kyla, is under the weather. We're gonna get her on the next show, which we hope to do in another week or so. But stay tuned for that. What would you like to share with anyone else out there who is looking for work or who's hiring, and why they should hire you, bring you on?
So in terms of bringing me on, I can assure you that I am that employee who always winds up exceeding your expectations. I have excelled and fast tracked at every position that I've held. I have started in positions where it might have been administrative assistant and wound up creating a new position because of the skill set that I bring and the focus and the work ethic. So have grown it. I had a previous account management position that started off as a customer service position, and they created a whole payment structure that was similar to the sales staff that we supported with bonuses and mile markers. So I am that employee for you. Another example I can give you is that during the pandemic, as we were coming back from that and moving back to working in person, there was some logistical things on campus, some construction going, and they needed some people to stay working from home while they worked all of that out. And when they asked for recommendations on who would be that person that could work from home effectively, still get the work done, you don't have to, worry about goofing off or anything like that, my name was at the top of every list. So,
I've no doubt that you would be a great hire. We've never met again. Someone else who randomly came across a post because someone clicked yes, share,
right. Yes.
comment, and
Kyla actually is the person who shared the
Okay.
link to this event, your advertisement to this event, which is how I
there you go.
made it on here today. So
Somebody
yes.
who's connected to someone who I'm connected to, and
Yes.
shared it with you. It's the power of LinkedIn, the power of networking. Encourage everyone to always just like, and it's so easy to help. I mean, there are people like Mark who do heavy lifting and helping. Posting, it's not easy to accumulate it to accumulate those jobs and post them all the time, and people
Right.
rely
Right.
on it. There's other people out there who do that, but the easiest thing you could do is just click a button
Right.
and
Right.
like
Right.
stuff. I used to
Right.
be hesitant to what I wanted because I didn't want my feed to be all this, but you just
Right.
never know who you're going to help, and
Right.
when you're going to be the person who needs that type of help.
Right.
Looking for a job or something else, believe in karma. I think it's the right thing to do. It's a good thing to do. It's very low hanging fruit, and
For sure.
the feeling you get when you help people, when someone comes and says, "Hey, I got a job." We don't know if it was directly because of that, but certainly it helped, and it helps people in the search get a better feeling about their job. It's a tough. I've been there. I was out of work 3 years before I got the job that eventually led me to my last sales job. And
Okay.
people need to know you're not alone. We were all dealing with the same stuff. Even I'm not looking for work, and I'm dealing with some of the same stuff that everyone's dealing with. The
For sure.
ghosting and all of that. So that's what we're here to do. Mark does a great job. I wanted to give him some credit, and just really impressed to be able to be doing that. It's almost 2 years now.
Wow.
Christina Osazua also is someone else who posts, and we'll recap this and put some other people that I know who are always just sharing roles and
Awesome.
forward. So we appreciate your time, Beverly, and hope that you
Thank you.
soon. I'm going to remove you here and give Mark last words. Any other advice or
Pay it forward. I mean, it's a like, it's a share, it's a comment, which comments actually show that you're like paying attention. And I think the woman who was not Celine Dion, but the other one was focused in on, we talked to her about writing. Comment. You can look really, really intelligent on some of the industry articles, but don't forget, like, people are watching. Don't say some stupid stuff, if is the word I'm not trying to use. But comment is a big thing. Repost is a big thing. I tell people, like, copy the link, send it to other Slack channels, send it to other emails, send it to around, yell if you want, and not just about the jobs, but just about people. So if you have friends that have done that open to work, and we've just advocated for some people to do that, like their stuff, help it, send it to different friends. My pay it forward world is just like, hey, good things happen, and if we're all in good place, better things happen. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, the power of networking. It's the power of LinkedIn. If I only could do one thing, it would be everything on LinkedIn, because the network that I've created of people, there's just a lot of good people out there. It doesn't make you not a good person if you don't do it, but it's such an easy way to become someone who's doing
It's
good.
not that hard. It's not that
Yeah,
hard.
it's really easy. So I really appreciate your time. Appreciate all the candidates' time for showing up today. I've had people who didn't show up and people who didn't reply on LinkedIn to a request to come on. So you're ahead of the game. It's a very competitive field out there. And anything you could do to stand out, you should. That's why we're here. We want to help. We're going to repost this. We're going to share and tag and try and get everyone some visibility. So if you know someone looking, help them out. If you're hiring yourself, reach out, join one of our calls, send your jobs to Mark and anyone else who's posting, and let's get everybody back to work. We will keep an eye out for the announcement for the next event. And in the meantime, do something good. And as Mark says, pay it forward. Thanks a lot.